Welcome back to another fun-filled show. I'm your host, T. is Blanchard, aka Free Blanche, aka Blanchard Adamus, aka Blanchy Kruger. And today's title is Arthur Schopenhauer and the Truth About a Woman's Nature, Part 3. This is part 3 of this series where we dive deep into a woman's nature. Again, a woman's nature is concealed from the public because you can't push this level of manipulation that we've seen on the public if you tell the truth about a woman's nature. And most women know all of this stuff internally, but they will never voice it for fear of losing leverage. Most oftentimes, women stir up chaos and play all of these games because the goal is to get the man to not see that she doesn't add any value. All of this stuff you see women doing that's chaotic, it's to get the man to not notice they don't add any value. Now, keep in mind, a woman does add value to a man when she values what a man values. That's how a woman adds value to a man. So men value things like honor, respect, loyalty, commitment, sacrifice, principles, character. These are all things that women don't value. Women value three main things. They value looks, appearance. They value the fact that they can have a child. And thirdly, the fact that they can give pleasure. So appearance, fertility, and pleasure is what they put their stock in. And so the average woman does not value what a man values. Now, the woman learns to value what the man values when she submits to God, because the things that a man values are the same things that God values. So there is a solution to all of this madness, and it's just for women to submit to God. But most women don't submit to God because God isn't emotional. So when women go to God emotionally, they get no response, or they get the response they don't want. So they go to Satan. Satan is the one that's chaotic. Satan is the one that loves emotions. You see, most women, when they even want to get married, it's manipulation. And it's manipulation because the guy that they need to marry is the guy that's going to basically chastise them and check them. That's the guy they need. Most women don't marry that guy. Most women marry the guy that allows them to get away with manipulation. And so most women marry the guy that they can manipulate. They don't marry the guy that sees through all of their games. Now, somebody sent me a quote from a book one time, and the quote said, accountability for a lot of people means that they've been caught. The reason why women reject accountability is because accountability means that she's not who she says she is. So accountability for most women is an indictment. It's a guilty verdict. So they'll avoid accountability to not seem guilty of not being the person they're portraying. Again, I'm talking about a woman's nature. This is not to say that women are condemned to this or anything. This is simply to say that women have to conquer their nature, much like a man has to conquer his nature. Both men and women are tasked with the same thing of conquering their nature and being who God has called them to be. But let's jump right into it. This is Arthur Schopenhauer's essay. I'm starting from where I left off because I know the sound cut out last time. It is only the man whose intellect is clouded by his sexual instinct that could give that stunted, narrow-shouldered, broad-hipped, short-legged race the name of the fair sex. For the entire beauty of the sex is based on his instinct. One would be more justified in calling them the unaesthetic sex than beautiful. Neither for music, nor for poetry, nor for fine art have they any real or true sense and susceptibility, and is mere mockery on their part in their desire to please if they affect any such thing. So basically what he's saying is that women don't care about any of the things that would be considered beautiful, like caring about music, fine arts, poetry, all of these things. They don't really care about those things. And he also says that men are clouded by sexual instinct, not women. So in other words, women, you may not believe this, but women are not clouded by sexual desire. They're not. Women are very strategic when it comes to sex. They use sex as leverage and manipulation. Women are not delusional when it comes to sex. They know men want sex and they use that. Men are clouded by sex. Men are clouded by attention. Men are clouded by a woman's essence. Men get clouded by those things, but not women. Women are very calculated and they know exactly what they're doing and what's going on. This is how they can go from man to man to man, relationship, because it's not really about love or feelings. It's all strategy. This makes them incapable of taking a purely objective interest in anything. And the reason for it is I fancy as follows. A man strives to get direct mastery over things, either by understanding them or by compulsion. But a woman is always and everywhere driven in indirect mastery, namely through a man, all her direct mastery being limited to him alone. Therefore, it lies in a woman's nature to look upon everything only as a means for winning a man. And her interest in anything else is always a simulated one, a mere roundabout way to gain her ends, consisting of coquetry and pretense. Everyone who can see through a sham must have found this to be the case. One need only watch the way they behave at a concert, the opera, or the play, the childish simplicity, for instance, with which they keep on chattering during the finest passages in the greatest masterpieces. If it is true that the Greeks forbade women to go to the play, they acted in the right way, for they would at any rate be able to hear something. In our day, it would be more appropriate to substitute ticat muller in theatral or for to sit muller in the Ecclesia. And this might perhaps be put up in big letters on the curtain. I think I did this last time. I may have already read this last time. I'm not going to go through this. We don't have enough time to keep going to Google and look all this stuff up. But you're welcome to. I'm going to put this essay in the bio of the video. But anyway, what he's basically saying is that women don't care about anything besides getting a man. Women don't care about anything but getting a man. Even competition with other women is indirectly to say, I'm the best candidate for a man. Everything revolves around a man. Even most lesbians want a stud woman. They want a manly like woman. So it's all to get a man. Women don't actually care about anything outside of landing the best option for them that is a male. And he talks about basically them concerning themselves with other things is merely just a roundabout way to get a man. I mentioned before that some women, didn't get the shot, but that's it. They just didn't get the shot. They're still worldly women. They're still women of worldly desires, and they still converse with Satan. They just didn't get the shot because certain women may like a certain type of man. They may be a conspiracy theorist type man or a post-apocalyptic type man or a man that knows what's going on in the world. That may be what she likes. And so she'll position herself to get that man. But at the end of the day, she's no different than any other woman out there. She just didn't get the shot. Nothing different can be expected of a woman. It is born in the mind that the most eminent of the whole sex have never accomplished anything in the fine arts that is really great, genuine, or original, or given to the world any kind of work of permanent value. This is most striking in regard to painting, technique of which is as much within their reach as within ours. This is why they pursue it so industriously. Still, they have not a single great painting to show, for the simple reason that they lack the objectivity of mind, which is precisely what it is to directly necessary, which is precisely what is so directly necessary in painting. They always stick to what is subjective. For this reason, ordinary women have no susceptibility for painting at all, for the natura non facet subtum. And Horthy is his book, which has been famous for 300 years, Examining de Ingenios para las Ciencias, contains that women do not possesses the higher capacities. Individual and partial expectations do not alter the matter, Women are and remain taken altogether the most thorough and incurable Philistines, and because of the extremely absurd arrangement which allows them to share the position and title of their husbands, they are a constant stimulus to his ignoble ambitions. And further, it is because they are Philistines that modern society, to which they give the tone and where they have sway, has become corrupted. So basically, what he's saying is that women are simple. Women are very simple creatures, and it's true. If you talk to women, if you talk to a woman beyond 5 minutes, it starts to drift in conversation. It starts to drift. Women that have probably the most coherent women you're going to meet are the ones that spend a lot of time alone, pretty much set in their ways and don't really have access to them. They don't see men anymore as a viable option. They don't really care about men anymore. That type of woman is able to have a more rational conversation with you. But if a woman is still seeking love and marriage and children and happiness and fantasy and all that, her conversation is only going to last about 5 minutes before it starts to drift off into fairy tale and fantasy. You notice women like a lot of things that aren't really set in stone and concrete. Women pretty much hate rules. They hate objectivity. They love, like you said, they love things to be subjective because they want to be able to drift and float and go with the wind and go with their emotions, and they want to be able to not be bound by anything. Now, that's their nature, and it's good sometimes, but sometimes it's not. Women have to recognize when they're out of their arena, they're out of their wheelhouse, meaning that for most of society to function, women have to be excluded from it. For most of society to be livable, women can't take part in it. Now, they can live in it, but they can't take part in the actual creating of society at all, because we see women have been given the right to vote. Women have been given the same rights as men, and look where society is headed. You can trace women's liberations and women's suffrage. You can trace the turn in society. The more rights women got, the worse society got. It's not because women are just inherently bad people. It's because it goes against their nature. Absolute power for a woman goes against her nature. This is why when women are in positions of power, they are more likely to abuse than men. It's because it's a warning sign to say she shouldn't be in this position. It's nature's way of saying, don't put her in this position. And so women are striving to be something and do something they were never meant to do. Women were never meant to be out in this workforce, in this world, trying to conquer. They never were meant to do it. That's why most men women don't understand this, right? A woman is unattractive to a man when she's trying to be a man. When a woman is trying to conquer the world, it is very unattractive to a man. The Proverbs 31 woman go read the scripture. She's not out there trying to conquer the world. She's trying to better her household and her family. She's trying to honor her husband. If you see a man out there trying to achieve in life, 9.9 times out of 10, he's doing it with a woman in mind, with a family in mind, with a legacy in mind. When a man is out there trying to conquer the world, he has a woman in mind, he has a family in mind, he has his legacy in mind. When a woman is out there trying to conquer the world, she's thinking about herself. You haven't heard a woman say, I'm out here grinding for a future husband and children. I'm out here trying to conquer the world for my future husband and children. I'm out here trying to slay these dragons for my future husband and children. You haven't heard that. Women do that stuff for themselves. I have a great quote here, and it says by Shifty, he said, or they say, weight made for shoulders, not hips. That is an excellent quote. Weight is made for shoulders, not for hips. In other words, weight is made for a man, not for a woman. And women, and the new trend for women is women are pretending that they want to be traditional women. So what they do is they put on the act of being a traditional woman, but their mind is still a feminist mind. It's still a boss chick mindset. It's still a I am woman, hear me roar mindset. The mind doesn't change. Now they say they got the talking points, they got the actions, but their mind is very much still worldly and talking to Satan. Let me see. Okay. They are the sexus secur, the second sex in every respect. Therefore, their weakness should be spared. But to treat women with extreme reverence is ridiculous and lowers us in their own eyes. When nature divided the human race into two parts, she did not cut it exactly through the middle. The difference between the positive and negative poles, according to polarity, is not merely qualitative, but also quantitative. And it was in this light that the ancients and people of the East regarded women. They recognized their true position better than we. With our old French ideas of gallantry and absurd veneration, that highest product of Christian Teutonic stupidity, these ideas have only served to make them arrogant and imperious, to such an extent as to remind one at times of the holy apes and bears, who, in the consciousness of their holiness and inviolability, think they can do anything and everything they please. So, in other words, this is why I tell men, you should never chase a woman because, and again, this is for men too, it will never fare well for you to do what a woman wants you to do. It goes against her nature because she's not actually wanting you to do it. It's her nature trying to see if you're the fit person that she should follow, if you are fit to follow, if you are fit to lead. So again, giving women extreme reverence is problematic. So the Black community suffers from this because they call women queens and goddesses. That's a problem. Black people are the only people that refer to the women as queens and goddesses. And look at the Black community, it's ran by Black women. The households, 70+% single mother ran households. Look at politics, ran by Black women. Education, Black women. Everything is ran by Black women, even to the point where Black women say they have to save America and save the world. So again, giving women respect is what you should do. What you shouldn't do is give women reverence because it goes against their nature and she's going to hate you for it. She's going to destroy you because once you give a woman reverence, you put her on a pedestal, she's going to destroy you because that's her nature. Her nature is supposed to get rid of you because you're operating out of order. And so this is where men have to learn to be men. You have to learn. See, I hear a lot of times in the red pill community of men talking about, walking away from a woman, right? It's not hard to walk away from a woman that you don't love. Like that's easy. But when you love the woman and you walk away, that's a true sign that you have arrived as a man. To me, that's a man's greatest test, to walk away from a woman that he loves. To me, that's his greatest test because that signifies or signals that he is willing to even sacrifice his love for principle. He is willing to sacrifice his love for respect. He's willing to sacrifice his love for art. Like he's willing to sacrifice his love to be the man that he needs to be. And so what men have to understand is that you are the captain of the ship. You are running the show. So if it's not your way, it's going to be her way. And if it's her way, it's going to be Satan's way. Because all women, again, 95% of women, leave the door open for Satan. Because she's talked to Satan this entire time. So when she meets you, she's already talking to Satan. He's already cooking up a plan to get into a relationship. All relationships get attacked by the devil. All of them do. Friendships, romantic, family, business, all relationships, political, all relationships get attacked by the devil. He is going to come in to destroy every relationship. So as a man, you must look at that woman and see, is she going to leave the door unlocked for Satan? You got to ask that question. Because if she is, listen, you might love her to death, but if she's going to leave the door unlocked for Satan, she's going to end up sabotaging you. Anyway, Let's continue. In the West, the woman, that is to say the lady, finds herself in a false position. For women, rightly named by the ancients sexus secure, is by no means fit to be the object of our honor and veneration, or to hold her head higher than man, and to have the same rights as he. The consequences of this false position are sufficiently clear. Accordingly, it would be a very desirable thing if this number two of the human race in Europe were assigned her natural position, and the lady grievance got rid of, which is not only ridiculed by the whole of Asia, but would have been equally ridiculed by Greece and Rome. The result of this would be that the condition of our social, civil, and political affairs would be incalculably improved. The Salic law would be unnecessary. It would be a superfluous truism. The European lady, strictly speaking, is a creature who should not exist at all, but there ought to be housekeepers and young girls who hope to become such, and they should be brought up not to be arrogant, but to be domesticated and submissive. Again, we are talking about what has been the downfall of giving women equal rights to men. It is the literal destruction of society. Women don't respond well to power. They just don't. Women don't respond well to power. And a woman's argument is going to be, well, what have men done? Again, that is a foolish argument, because what you're saying is men aren't perfect. Women aren't perfect either. So again, having faults as a man or woman, as a person, doesn't condemn the message. Overall, men make better leaders. Even when surveyed, women prefer male leaders. Even when surveyed, women prefer male leaders. So now we should be very clear on why we had a women's suffrage movement, why they wanted equality for women, why they wanted women to given the right to vote. Because again, this is a way to destroy society. Who do you think wants society destroyed? Who do you think wants a chaotic society? The devil. The devil thrives in chaos. So a point I want to make too is women operate most of their life out of desperation. If you are operating out of desperation, you are working for Satan. If you are operating in faith, you are working for God. So just know, the reason why I say that God does not exist in desperation is because desperation is the language for Satan. Because when you're desperate, you're going to compromise yourself. When you are desperate, you are going to compromise yourself. This is men and women. You are going to compromise yourself. God does not exist in desperation. God exists in faith. So dear ladies, when you all want to get married and you're desperate, you're going to talk to the devil. Most of y'all do. Because if you were talking to God, you'd be patient. You wouldn't be in a rush to get married, because you'd be saying, I need to get myself right as a wife so that I can attract the husband. I need to put some oil in my lamp so that I can attract the bridegroom. The fact that a woman wants to get married and she's out there trying to get married, she's already dealing with Satan. So when a woman tells you that her clock is ticking, she don't have much time, she want to do this by this time, she's already talking to Satan, because God doesn't talk like that. God is a God of seed time and harvest. So God is patient. God is a God of seed time and harvest. So a woman telling you that she wants to get married and she wants to have kids and her clock is ticking and this, and I got to do it now, she's already talking to Satan, because that's not how God speaks. That's not how God talks. God's never in a rush. God's never in a hurry, but Satan is. Anytime you're in a rush and in a hurry, you're in a rush and a hurry to sin, not to do the will of God. So ladies, if you truly want to be married, you should be very patient, because your time should be spent on what? Developing yourself as a wife, not going from man to man to man, relationship to relationship. Because all you're doing is stacking up heavy toll. Somebody's got to pay that bill. You're going to pay it, but the man you pick, he's going to pay it too. You're going to pay that bill, and the man you pick is going to pay it too. He just doesn't know, because you're going to pick somebody that you can manipulate. Because again, if you're desperate, you're not going to pick the man that you need, because the man that you need is not going to pick you because you're desperate. You see where I'm going with this? You see the chain of reactions? If you are desperate as a woman to get married and have children, you are not going to attract the man that you need. So that means that you can't attract the man that you need. You're going to do what? You're going to manipulate. This is why you can't do things Satan's way. It never works. The devil will always give you what you want, but he will never let you enjoy it. So if you are desperate, I'm going to say it again. If you are desperate as a woman, if you are desperate, the man that you need is not going to be attracted to that. And because you can't get him to commit to you through marriage, you are going to manipulate another man. You are not going to be honorable and say, let me fall back and become a wife. You're going to manipulate. If you manipulate that man, you're going to have a heavy toll to pay. He's going to pay, but you're definitely going to pay. You're going to be tortured. Again, the devil will always give you what you want, but he will never let you enjoy it. Let's continue. Where did I leave? Okay. It is exactly because there are ladies in Europe, the women of lower standing, that is to say, the greater majority of the sex are much more unhappy than they are in the East. Even Lord Byron says, Letters and Papers by Thomas More, thought of the state of women under ancient Greece, convenient enough. Present state, a remnant of barbarism of the chivalric and feudal ages, artificial and unnatural. They ought to mind home and be well fed and clothed, but not mixed in society. Well educated, too, in religion, but too read neither poetry nor politics. Nothing but books of piety and cookery, music, drawing, dancing, also a little gardening and plowing now and then. I have seen them mending the roads in Epirus with good success. Why not? As well as haymaking and milking. So again, the things that women actually enjoy are not what they're pursuing today. Women don't enjoy being CEOs. They only enjoy it as an ego boost, but when they go home, they're miserable. What you guys got to understand is this, right? You all are not going to see most people suffering. When most people lay their head on that pillow at night, they are in utter turmoil. Trust me. They're not getting a good night's rest. They are in utter turmoil. So what I'm trying to tell you, ladies, is what you really care about isn't what you're pursuing and what the world is showing you. What you actually care about are the simple things in life. Cooking, cleaning, gardening. As the guy said, maybe milking some cows, fixing the roads. He was like, wow, like the stuff that you all actually like and enjoy are the simple things. But guess what? It's not demeaning. Those things aren't demeaning, nor do they lower your value. This is what society is telling you for a reason. Listen, the devil's going to tell you that you cooking and cleaning is beneath you. You should be doing the same thing that a man is doing. That is the devil talking to you. I've never seen a woman that lived this boss chick life and ended up with a great story. I've never seen a woman that went through her life manipulating men, end up with a great story. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. These women divorce these men all the time and regret it. Hold up. Do you think God is going to honor you manipulating a man, divorcing him, and then coming back out into this world to find another man do the same thing? Stop. But again, if you don't talk to God, you don't have any fear. You don't have any reverence. Women spend time talking to the devil, not God. See, the devil doesn't put fear in you. The devil makes you bold to just sin. God is the one that puts the parameters around you, the borders, the guards. God is the one that gives you the fear, not the devil. The devil says you go out there, be free. You seen that movie, Thelma and Louise? What happened at the end of that movie? At the end of Thelma and Louise, what happened? They drove off a cliff. That's the end of this quote unquote feminism story. Thelma and Louise drove off a cliff. That's the end of the movie. They drove, I think it was in the Grand Canyon. Thank you, Neek. They just crash out. They just crash out. In our part of the world where monogamy is enforced, to marry means to have one's rights and to double one's duties. When the laws granted women the same rights as men, they should also have given her a masculine power of reason. On the contrary, just as privileges and honors which the laws decree to women surpass what nature has meted out to them, so is there a proportional decrease in the number of women who really share these privileges. Therefore, the remainder of are deprived of their natural rights, and so as far as others have been given more than nature accords. So in other words, what he's saying is giving women the same rights as men actually takes away the rights of other women. Because women that have the same rights as men take it to the extreme, which further hinders the other rights of women, is what he's essentially saying. And again, if you are to give women equality, you must also give them the same logic and reasoning of a man. Otherwise, it's not going to work, because most women are slaves to their emotions. They're not slaves to what's right. They're slaves to their emotions. That's why most women are immoral by nature, because they are loyal to their feelings. What they feel is justified, not actually what is right. This is why a woman has to learn to be a moral being by going to God. And I tell any man this right now, any man right now, if a woman is not submitted to God, don't even deal with her, even as a friend. Because I'm telling you that when a woman is not submitted to God, she will always be in manipulation mode. She will always be in sabotaging mode. It's going to be her nature. Only thing that can curtail that is her relationship with God. And I don't mean relationship with God in words. I mean relationship with God in her actions, meaning that when she says something, her actions line up with it. What did Nick say? Hold on. Nick said, OMG, he just told me that I jumped off a cliff last night. Blanche, have you and that man I was telling you about been speaking? No, we ain't been talking, but sound like he got some sense though. Sound like he has some sense. Most women regret their decisions because they don't make a decision based on what's right. They make a decision based on emotions. Most women regret their decisions. I don't care how good she thinks it is or you think it is. Most women regret their decision because they made a decision emotionally. It wasn't made in honor, principle, or character. It was just made in emotion, i.e., they were talking to Satan. Okay, where was I? Therefore, whilst among polygamous nations, every woman finds maintenance, where monogamy exists, the number of married women is limited, and a countless number of women who are without support remain over. Those in the upper class vegetate as useless old maids. Those in the lower are reduced to a very hard work of distasteful nature or become prostitutes, lead a life which is as joyless as it is void of honor. But under such circumstances, they become a necessity to the masculine sex, so that their position is openly recognized as a special means for protecting from seduction those other women favored by fate, either to have found husbands or hope to find them. In London alone, there are 80,000 prostitutes. So in 1865, in London, there were 80,000 prostitutes in one city. Think about that. In London in 1865, there were 80,000 prostitutes. And basically what he was saying was that without polygyny, a lot of women are going to be left out of the game because, again, they aren't fit to be wives. So you think about society now. The women that are fit to be wives, say that's about maybe 5%. They get married. Now the other 30% of them, 35% of them are just manipulating the man. But 5% of them actually deserve to be wives. The rest of them, no. Like I said, 95% of them, they don't. So, but in a non-polygamous society, this is what happens. Women are left to fend for themselves. You see this, you see a single woman epidemic slowly rising more and more and more. What's going to happen? You're going to see more and more divorces. You're going to see more because the propaganda program is only going to intense. It's going to only, women are going to be told that if the man doesn't do what she says, if he doesn't lead how she says he should lead, if he doesn't do it how she says he should do it, she's leaving. So again, so now manhood and leadership is going to be defined through a woman's eyes, is where we are today. Then what are these women who have come too quickly to this terrible end, but human sacrifices on the altar of monogamy? The women here referred to and who are placed in this wretched position are the inevitable counterbalance to the European lady with her pretensions and arrogance. Hence, polygyny is a real benefit to the female sex, taking it as a whole. Again, polygamy is going to increase because the trick being played on women is they should go after the top 1% of men. If that is going to be a reality, when you're going to have to share. Hence, polygamy is a real benefit to the female sex, taking it as a whole. And again, this is true. Now, I may get some backlash for this, but most women don't mind polygamy. They don't. They don't. Because in polygamy, truly, all of a woman's basic needs are met. The hypergamy need is met. The protection need is met. The provision need is met. All of her needs, all of her needs are met. Her safety needs are met. So again, most women are in favor of polygamy. I mean, it's just socially, it isn't accepted in the West, but most women, especially nowadays, are willing to share a man. They are, especially if he's a man of means. They just are. I don't care what they say, they're willing to share. And polygamy and polygyny are going to increase as time goes on because this machine, this wicked machine is convincing women that they deserve the top select few of men. Think about what they're saying, that if he's not a top 1% man and he's not qualified, that means you're going to have to share. And on the other hand, there is no reason why a man whose wife suffers from chronic illness or remains barren or has gradually become too old for him should not take a second. Many people become converts to Mormonism for the precise reasons that they condemn the unnatural institution of monogamy. The conferring of unnatural rights upon women has imposed unnatural duties upon them, the violation of which, however, makes them unhappy. It's true. Women are more unhappy now with more rights. Women have become more unhappy and more suicidal with freedom. Ain't that crazy? Women are more unhappy, more suicidal with freedom. You go to the average woman's medicine cabinet, she is on prescription drugs. I don't care what race she is, Black, white, Asian. In today's society, most women are on some type of prescription drug because they are in an unnatural position. For example, many a man thinks marriage unadvisable as far as his social standing and monetary positions are concerned. Unless he contracts a brilliant match, he will then wish to win a woman of his own choice under different conditions, namely under those which will render safe her future and that of her children. But the conditions ever so just, reasonable, and adequate, and she consents by giving up those undue privileges which marriage, as the basis of civil society alone, can bestow. She must, to a certain extent, lose her honor and lead a life of loneliness, since human nature makes us dependent on the opinion of others in a way that is completely out of proportion to its value. While if the woman does not consent, she runs the risk of being compelled to marry a man she dislikes or of shriveling up to an old maid for the time allotted to her to find a home is very short. So again, the point he's making is, again, that's why I said, women don't marry the guy they actually want. they marry the substitute God. They marry the guy they can manipulate. I'm telling you, because the guy they truly want is the guy that most women want. The guy they truly want is the guy that most women want. He's the guy, he's the catch. So if she's not willing to share him with other women, then she's going to end up marrying a guy she doesn't like. It is what it is. This is most, now listen, I'm not talking about 5% of women, the 2 to 5% or the 1%. I'm talking about the 95% of women are doomed to this fate. In the view of this side of the institution of monogamy, Thomas Suis's profoundly learned treatise De Concubuntu Benatu is well worth reading, for it shows that among all nations and all ages, down to the Lutheran Reformation, concubinage was allowed. Nay, that is, was an institution, in a certain measure, even recognized by law and associated with no dishonor. And it held this position until the Lutheran Reformation, when it was recognized as another means of justifying the marriage of the clergy, whereupon the Catholic party did not dare to remain behindhand in the matter. So basically, it was saying the Lutheran Reformation, they even allowed men to have a concubine. It is useless to argue about polygamy. It must be taken as a fact existing everywhere, the mere regulation of which is the problem to be solved. Where are there then any real monogamists? We all live at any rate for a time, and the majority of us are always in polygamy. Consequently, as each man needs many women, nothing is more just than to let him, nay, make it incumbent upon him to provide for many women. By this means, women will be brought back to her proper and natural place as a subordinate being, and the lady, the monster of Europe, civilization, and Christian Teutonic stupidity, with her ridiculous claim to respect and veneration, will no longer exist. There will still be women, but no unhappy women, of whom Europe is present full. The Mormon standpoint is right. In India, no woman is ever independent, but each one stands under the control of her father or husband, or brother or son, in accordance with law of Manu. I'm almost done. It is certainly a revolting idea that widows should sacrifice themselves on their husband's dead body, but it is also revolting that the money which the husband has earned by working diligently for all his life in the hope that he was working for his children should be wasted on her paramours. Medium, tenure, biti. Y'all can look at all this stuff up. I don't have time today, but the first love of a mother is that of animals and men. It's purely instinctive and consequently ceases when the child is no longer physically helpless. After that, the first love should be reinstated by a love based on habit and reason. But this often does not appear, especially where the mother has not loved the father. The love of a father for his children is of a different nature and more sincere. It is founded in recognition of his own inner self in the child and is therefore metaphysical in its origin. There's a saying that men actually love and women don't. And I would to some extent agree with that. He's saying that women love animals and children instinctively, not really by choice. And then once the child grows up, then the woman starts to love the child by choice. But it's basically instinct, whereas a man loves by choice from the get-go. This is why single fathers, when they raise children, is almost equivalent to a two-parent household. And I believe the real reason is because of the love factor. Men actually love unconditionally, women don't. Women have to learn to love unconditionally. They have to learn these attributes. They have to go to God to get them. They got to go to God. In almost every nation, both the New and Old World, and even among the Hottentots, property is inherited by the male descendants alone. It is only in Europe that one has departed from this. That property which men have with difficulty acquired by long continued struggling and hard work should afterwards come into the hands of a woman who, in their want of reason, either squander it within a short time or otherwise waste it, is an injustice as great as it is common, and it should be prevented by limiting the right of women to inherit. It seems to me that it will be better arrangement if women, by the widows or daughters, only inherited the money for life secured by mortgage, but not the property itself or the capital, unless there lack male descendants. It is men who make the money and not women. Therefore, women are neither justified in having unconditional possessions of it nor capable of administering it. Women should never have the free disposition of wealth, strictly so called, which they may inherit, such as capital, houses, and estates. They need a guardian always. Therefore, they should not have the guardianship of their children under any circumstances whatever. I agree with that. The vanity of women, even if it should not be greater than that of men, has the evil in it that is directed on material things, that is to say, on their personal beauty, and then on tinsel, pomp, and show. Notice how I said just a few seconds earlier that men are literally single fathers are the equivalent almost to two-parent households. This is why they are in their right element in society. This it is which makes them inclined to be extravagant, especially since they possess little reasoning power. But what he's basically saying is that in the instance of divorce, there shouldn't be any single mothers. And I agree, because I don't believe that women, single mothers, can raise children. I don't, in my opinion. And I was raised by a single mother. They can do their best, but I think I would have done a lot better if my father was a righteous man and he raised me. My life would have been a lot different, in my opinion. This it is which makes them inclined to be extravagant, especially since they possess little reasoning power. Accordingly, an ancient writer says, Greek, Gane to whatever. Men's vanity, on the other hand, is often directed on non-material advantages, such as intellect, learning, courage, and the like. Aristotle explains in the Politics 11 the great disadvantages which Spartans brought upon themselves by granting too much to their women, by allowing them the right to inheritance and dowry and a great amount of freedom, and how this contributed greatly to the fall of Sparta. Think about Sparta falling because men gave women too much power. You see, what men do is that men get their confidence from achievement. Women get their confidence from manipulation. Men get their confidence from achievement. Women get their confidence from manipulation. What they're able to extract from a man, what they're able to get a man to do, what they're able to do to a man, that's what gives a woman confidence. What gives a man confidence is actually going out into this world and actually doing something. This is why men make better parents. That simple fact alone, that a man's going to teach their children to go out there and do. They have to be self-sufficient to go out there and do. So men are not giving their children an entitlement mindset, whereas a woman tell their children anything and everything, negative and positive. So we know that a great contributor to the fall of Sparta was giving women all these rights and allowing them to take half when they get divorced. May it not be that the influence of women in France, which has been increasing since Louis VIII's time, was to blame for that gradual corruption of the court and the government, which led to the first revolution, of which all subsequent disturbances have been the result. In any case, the false position of this female sex, so conspicuously exposed by the existence of the lady, in quotations, is a fundamental defect in our social condition, And this defect, proceeding from the very heart of it, must extend its harmful influence in every direction. Though that woman is by nature intended to obey, is shown by the fact that every woman who is placed in the unnatural position of absolute independence at once attaches herself to some kind of man by whom she is controlled and governed. This is because she requires a master. If she is young, the man is a lover. If she is old, a priest. Boy, that's a cold quote. My goodness. If she is young, the man is a lover. If she is old, the man is a priest. Whew. That's a cold line. That's a cold line. I had some notes. If you don't sleep with them, they will crash out because they can't manipulate without sex. Women don't have a healthy view of sex, manipulation. They say that all men want is sex. So because they believe that, they're going to make you pay for that. They're going to torture you for that. They're going to manipulate you through sex because they believe it's all you want. Because when they do self-reflections, they say, how can me, myself, add value to this man? Think about a woman that's going after what she believes is the cream of the crop man that has everything. By default, she knows she can't add anything to his life. So why would she want to get with him? She wants to manipulate. Because she's not getting with him saying, I'm going to be the best wife for him. I'm going to submit for him. I'm going to make sure he has peace. She's not saying that. She's saying, I want the top dog because I want to be secure. I want to be safe. I want to be taken care of. So again, it's manipulation. The woman's spirit must be broken, and it must be broken so that she can see reality, so she can see the truth. How do we break it? By letting her know that none of her tricks are going to work. So as a man, you must knock down every trick she's trying to play. Every game, manipulation tactic, shoot them all down. You must break her spirit. No, that sounds bad, but once you break her spirit, she will be able to see the truth. She will be able to understand God, and she'll be understanding, see you for who you are. Favor, the Bible says, favor is deceitful, Proverbs 31, verse 30. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Why would she need to be praised if she fears the Lord? Because it's rare. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Again, she should be praised because it's rare. One of the most satanic statements ever uttered by a woman, I will follow if he leads. That is a lie. That is a lie. It's not true. What makes a woman follow a man is her relationship with God. That's what makes her follow a man, not her emotional state. If the man is doing what's right, then the woman will do what's right. Again, satanic statement. If the man is doing what's right, more times than not, he's going to hold the woman accountable. If he holds her accountable, she's either going to try to sabotage, manipulate, or just leave. So again, these are false statements. Women seek external motivation for internal virtue. It doesn't work. Your motivation has to come from in here, then it goes out. We have to be taught how to be good people. No one is inherently good. Any woman saying, I will do it when he does, is already okay with bad behavior. Because what she's saying is, I don't have to do what's right till the man does what's right. She's already engaging in bad behavior, don't deal with her. Women think if my flaws are exposed, it will be hard for me to manipulate. In other words, women know if I am exposed, I won't be able to secure the type of man I want. Because the type of man that will take her with her flaws exposed isn't the man she wants, inevitably. This is why a woman must submit herself to God. She has to submit to God. That's the only way. Accountability to women is an indictment. It's a guilty verdict. It's being discovered. It's being found out. It's guilt. Because if she agrees to accountability, she's saying, I'm not this perfect person. I'm not who I'm portraying to be. A lot of character flaws equal a lack of trust. So when people have a lot of character flaws, they're not very trusting people. Women have a child's mind. Most women are too afraid to face their true selves. Because when they do face it, they run away from it. They hate who they really are. Most women hate who they really are. They do. Because they don't see themselves. They don't see themselves how God sees them and how men see them. See, a man can see a woman and he can say, man, if she just does this, this, and this, she's going to be a winner. Like, that's how men look at women. Men, because think about it, y'all ain't perfect. So a man says, if she can get this, this, and this down, she's going to be perfect. So what a man does, he said, okay, I can teach her these three things, these three areas. Most of the time, fellas, you can't. Trust me, you can't. Most men think she's missing in this area, this area, this area. I can fix these areas with her. You can't. Trust me, you can't do it. But again, guys don't expect perfection. Guys expect effort. Ladies, men do not expect perfection. Men expect effort. That's what men expect. You to try. You to put forth your best effort. Because the man knows you put forth your best effort, you're going to change. You're going to change for the better. And you know it too. That's why you don't want to do it. Women hate effort because effort proves they aren't worth it. See, women know, most women know, they don't deserve a good man. They know this. So what they do is they create a whole bunch of chaos and use manipulation to get the man to not see, but not realizing the man already sees your flaws. He's just looking at your potential because he's weighing your good attributes versus your bad. And he's saying, we can fix these bad ones. This is what most men think. I'm telling men, you can't fix it. She has to fix them before she comes to you. I'm sorry. Just like as a man, you got to fix a lot of stuff before you go to the woman. So that means that a man, to even have the ability to find a wife, the skill set to find a wife, the wisdom to find a wife, look at how much he has to do with himself. For a man to be able to find a wife, look how much internal work he has to do. And for a woman to be a wife, look how much internal work she has to do. Anyway, let me play this video real quick, and then I'm be done.
I don't want him. If a man can't keep me alive in a post-apocalyptic situation, I don't want him. How are you even attracted to somebody who would just get pillaged as soon as the government fails to enforce the laws? You don't really love him because you can't. Because what you really love is the social contract that we all have right now that allows him to stay alive. As soon as the world fell, you wouldn't be able to love him because you guys would have been pillaged and you would have to choose a stronger man. I would also go as far to say is like, as a man, you can't fight, you can't shoot, you can't grow food, you can't fish, and you can't figure out how to get us any of those resources. What are we doing here? If none of those needs are met, then I might as well just go be with another woman because at least I'll have emotional security and stability while I'm fighting for my life with a lack of provision and stability.
Okay, so this is the typical woman. Now on surface, what she's saying sounds good. On surface, what she's saying sounds good. But this is typical female logic. So I'm going to dissect what she's saying in real time to give you a perspective on how women think versus how men think, and why women should not be in positions of power, politics, all the above.
If a man can't keep me alive in a post-apocalyptic situation, I don't want him. How are you even attracted to somebody who would just get pillaged as soon as the government fails to enforce the laws?
Stop right there. If the government fails to enforce the laws, what's going to happen is it's going to be chaos. That means groups are going to start forming. So it's you and your boyfriend solo walking around trying to survive, and there's literally groups of people that want you. They either want him to work for them, to be a worker or a soldier, and they're going to want you for procreation and pleasure. Now, my question is, how is your man going to protect you against 30 men, half of them being armed with guns, the other half being armed with sharp objects? How is your boyfriend, her boyfriend is a fighter, how is your boyfriend going to protect you in a scenario where it's groups of men pillaging and plundering? You're talking about packs of 30 men pillaging and plundering. How is your man going to protect you? You're a decent looking woman. He looks strong. They're going to kill. If he says no, they're going to just kill him and just take you. So again, this being naive to think that if the government fails to enforce laws, that your boyfriend's going to be able to defend you from all these people, you're crazy. Either you all are going to have to join a group for protection, and you better hope the group that you join is a decent group, because you might join a group and the leader gets access to all the women. Then your boyfriend's going to say, you can't touch my girl, and they could go ahead and kill him, and then they're going to take it from you anyway. That's a real world scenario when society collapses, young lady. Not what you're saying, that your man will be able to fight off all these men and hunt and fish and y'all live in peace. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You don't really love him because you can't. Because what you really love is the social contract that we all have right now that allows him to stay alive. As soon as the world fell, you wouldn't be able to love him because you guys would have been pillaged and you would have to choose a stronger man.
No, not choose a stronger man. The stronger man are going to do one of two things. They're either going to band together and run in a pack, or one of them is going to be able to have his own army. That's what's going to happen realistically. Y'all seen The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is an actual, to me, portrayal of what would happen. What y'all saw was people forming groups. Daryl was by himself, but guess what? Daryl didn't have a woman either. So the reason why Daryl survived by himself, because he was alone. All the folks that survived alone, that survived out there by themselves, was the people that were alone people. But if you got a woman with you, it's going to be tough. Because the number one need is survival. So again, young lady, the strong men are either going to come together and become a force, or one of them is going to be able to create his own army. So you and your boyfriend have to make a decision. Either join a group or get pillaged and plundered. And you're going to run the risk as a woman of being community property. I'm just telling you.
I would also go as far to say is like, as a man, you can't fight, you can't shoot, you can't grow food, you can't fish, and you can't figure out how to get us any of those resources. What are we doing here?
Now, again, being resourceful is a very small, minute aspect in this post-apocalyptic society. In a post-apocalyptic society, there is one thing you are going to have to be willing to do. Two things. You're going to have to not be afraid to die, and you are going to have to kill. Your greatest two skills in a post-apocalyptic society is not having the fear of death and being able to kill. Because I guarantee you are going to encounter death and having to kill more often than you think. Now imagine a life where everything is structured. You got a job, you go home, you cook food, you have electricity, you're comfortable. Imagine a comfortable life where all your needs are met. You go from that to literally kill or be killed every single day. So again, the number one resource for you, young lady, is your man willing to die for you? And is he willing to kill for you? You better make sure. I'm telling you now, the toughest guy you think that you know, if he's faced with total annihilation or letting a bunch of men have you, he's probably going to let them have you. If a man is faced with surviving on his own, now think about it now. You already said that he can fish, he can hunt, he can shoot, he can defend himself. Think about this. So he can survive on his own without you. You can't survive without him. So if 30 bandits roll up and they say, we want her or we're going to kill you, he's not going to die for you, man. Because think about it. They're going to kill him, take you anyway. Think about the scenario. If he fights them, he gets killed, they take you anyway. If he doesn't fight them, he walks away, they take you anyway. Or they may say, you can join us or die. Your third option is you join us, she becomes community property, and you get to live. If you don't take our offer, we're going to kill you and take her anyway. Again, is the man that you're with right now, young lady, willing to kill and die for you? It sounds good now when you're comfortable in the car talking on the video. It sounds good. But in real life, I don't know if he's going to do it. I don't know if he's going to do it. I guarantee when that moment comes, every argument y'all had is going to come up in his head. Every slick thing you said going to come up. You know what? She do walk kind of funny. You know, I never liked her lips. Like, he going to start picking out flaws immediately. He going to start remembering all the bad stuff about you immediately in real time if they say, we want her or you die. So I'm just telling you, young lady, everything you're saying sounds good, but the greatest resource in a post-apocalyptic society is not being afraid and being able to kill. Because you're going to encounter fear and death more times than not.
If none of those needs are met, then I might as well just go be with another woman, because at least I'll have emotional security and stability while I'm fighting for my life with a lack of provision and stability.
So again, this is woman's logic. They never think things all the way through. Just a short-sighted view of a society where think about it. Think about a world where the government doesn't enforce any laws. That automatically puts women on the bottom of the totem pole. So by default, women only have equality and rights because there's a government in place. If that's gone, women go back to their natural position under a man. I'm sorry. So it's going to be a whole bunch of women trying to jockey for this quote unquote alpha male. Women are going to be going to the highest bidder. The irony of what I'm saying is that young lady, in a more realistic scenario, she would leave her man for another guy. That's the funny part. She'd be the one to actually leave. It'd be her. She'd see a guy, I'm going with him. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. I thank y'all so much for tuning in today. That concludes my Arthur Schopenhauer's and the Truth About Women's Nature Part 3 series. Listen, I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. What's up, Jocelyn? I don't know if Quay is still there. What's up, Quay? What's up, y'all on Instagram? On YouTube. I see Tierra, Miss Graves. I see Doug. I see Nicodemus. What's up, y'all? Anyway, I love y'all. I'll see y'all soon on Tuesday. I want you to have a blessed day, and I love y'all. You are welcome, Prudence. Prudence said, thanks, Blanche, for getting us through Black Misery Month. You are very welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Jocelyn. I really appreciate it. Listen, I love you all. And before I go, women and men, my content is for men and women. It's not gender specific as far as who I put emphasis on. Dear ladies, your solution is to go to God. Your solution is to spend time with yourself and God. That means you have to get to a point where you can be at peace with yourself and being alone. You should be at peace with yourself being alone and still desire marriage, but you are at peace being alone. Same with a man. A man has to be at peace being alone. You still desire marriage, but you should be at peace being alone. Again, remember, patience. The Bible says, though it tarries not. That means it may seem like it's taking a long time, but it's not. Because I guarantee in that patience process, fellas and ladies, in that patience process, you are being refined and you are being defined so that you can be the man that God wants you to be and the woman that God wants you to be so that you can pick the right spouse and not live a life of terror or sabotage your potential spouse. Listen, I love y'all and I will see y'all soon. Thank you.